Well, hey there, guys. Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the channel, the John Campea YouTube channel, of course, where we are covering CinemaCon 2024. And today, we're talking about the final two presentations. We had the presentation for, what was it? We had presentation for Paramount, yes. And we also had the presentation for Disney, which we're going to be talking about. Now, we've had some technical problems that we were trying to just get fixed up here, but we're almost ready to go. I think we are ready to go. So Paramount and Disney, we are talking Quiet Place Day 1. We're talking about Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. We're talking Deadpool and Moana. And what else is before that? Moana was the last thing they did.
Oh.
What else is coming? Oh, anyway.
Don't worry.
We got to run down.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it.
Plenty of Post-its right here.
We'll get to it.
Can I say something real quick? If you're going to watch any of these videos, you got to watch this one because this is probably the best day of reveals that we got.
Studio presentation.
Studio-wise.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say this up front. Last year, if you guys watch, you remember, I talked a lot about how Disney crapped the bed with their presentation. Because I think easily last year, Disney had the worst presentation. This year, they easily had the best. I don't mind saying that. This year, they easily had the best presentation. It was great. But before that, there was a Paramount presentation.
Yeah.
And the Paramount presentation was pretty darn good, too. So Anne, get us started. We're going to start with the Paramount presentation because that's what came first, and then we'll get to the Disney presentation. So Anne, start us off.
It started with the movie If.
If John Krasinski comes on screen to talk about how he's got two films to show off, If, which he wrote and directed, and A Quiet Place Day 1, which he is the producer of, and of course he wrote and directed the other ones. Look. If looks charming and fun. And none of the trailers so far have blown me away. They certainly look cute and they certainly make me smile. And the footage they showed us today did the exact same thing. It looked really cute and it made me smile. I'm not going to say it blew me away, but there are certainly some really good funny moments in it. And I just like the idea of the movie. I think the idea of the movie is pretty good, so I think they'll do so. What do you think about the If stuff?
Well, even though I agree, the trailers don't get me excited for it. I can't believe that a Krasinski and a Reynolds project is going to fail or not be entertaining.
Yeah.
Them two together, there's no way this movie is going to suck, I think. Well, that's just what my heart believes. But who knows? The trailers haven't blown me away. I'm going to see it anyways.
Yeah, but it certainly doesn't look bad, though. No, we smiled, we laughed.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not...
There was nothing more that we saw today, I think.
What's the name of the one? Inside? No, what's the name of the Disney animated
Inside Out?
Inside Out. It's no Inside Out 2, but it looks pretty cute.
Yeah.
So that was If. All right, what else?
A Quiet Place Day 1.
Okay, then they showed us Lupita Nyong'o came out on stage... and
Joseph Quinn.
Joseph Quinn, Joseph Quinn, by the way, in the next little while is going to be in A Quiet Place, Fantastic Four,
Gladiator 2,
and Gladiator 2.
And also one of my favorite couples now, Lupita and Jason. Just saying. They might have surpassed...
Wait, they're not a couple, are they?
Like, they're a real couple.
What?
So they might have surpassed or at the level of Tom and Zendaya.
Wait, they actually dating?
Yes, I've been trying to tell you that all day.
I thought you just... I just thought... Because, like, when they came on stage, Anne turns to me, they're in love. And I thought she was just saying that because they were cute on stage. They're actually a couple?
Yeah, she
had
was
no idea.
with Joshua Jackson, I think. And now I believe, unless I've seen tabloids, she's now with Joseph Quinn.
All right.
Welcome to John's TMZ channel. Okay, wait. Hold on. You brought up Joseph having a big year. I'm talking about this year's Lupita's year, too.
I mean,
she's going to be a wild robot.
A
Quiet Place. What else was she in that they introduced?
There's
another film. So it's going to be a big year for this.
Every year couple. Is a big year for Lupita.
Yeah,
she's awesome.
Great.
Anyway.
Quiet Place. They showed us basically like a 5 or 6 minute extended trailer of it. They didn't like show us a full scene. They just showed us like 5 or 6 minutes of it. And yeah, I mean, it looks really intense. You know, I love the Quiet Place movies. I thought the first Quiet Place should have been nominated for Best Picture in 2018. I thought it was the second best movie of the year. I really loved Quiet Place 2 as well. So this looks great. The footage they showed was, again, just more, not a lot of dialogue in the footage, but a lot of just tension, a lot of people getting eaten by monsters.
And then the director come out and say, what if the aliens dropped in the most noisiest place in America?
That was the studio guy.
Yeah. In New York. And that's such a great way to,
Yeah, what happens if these noise-sensitive aliens land in the noisiest city in the world?
Yeah.
And it looked really good. I'm very excited about the film, so that was A Quiet Place Day 1. What was next? And remember, this is all Paramount.
They made a joke about Paramount's merge and acquisition, and then they went into...
Oh, let me talk about that for a second.
Oh, sure.
Paramount put on a great presentation last year. They didn't disappoint again this year. They started off, because they've got Gladiator, with 50 Roman centurions running into the auditorium, pulling a chariot with the Paramount executive in the chariot, waving his sword in the air with this awesome music playing. It was a great entrance.
But let's not forget, before he came in, they played a Gladiator video where they lip synced what was going on in the industry. They're making fun of things like it was a Paramount thing to do.
Here's what they did, and this is what they did last year, and I love Paramount for this. This executive comes out, and during the intro and the presentation, they slam the fact that movie theaters play too many trailers. They slam the fact, this whole idea of variable pricing on movie tickets.
Dynamic pricing, yep.
They slam the overpricing of concessions, even though they all understand that's how movie theaters keep their lights on and everything like that. But I love that, the Paramount guys come out and they didn't just kiss the movie theaters' asses like everybody else does. They came out and said, look, we the movie theaters and the studios, we have to work together to make this movie business work. And you movie theaters do great, but you need to do better. And I love the fact that he brought up the sheer number of trailers, because that's an important thing to me. Like, I love the movie theaters so much that I'm very passionate about the things they need to improve on. And I just love the fact that every year Paramount, at least the last 2 years in a row, Paramount comes out and they call out the theaters on that. You got to get a handle on what pricing is. Mm-hmm. You got to stop playing so many trailers because people forget what movie they're even there to see. And that's one of the reasons why I really love them now.
The People's Studio.
The People's Studio is
Paramount. What I refer to Paramount as, the People's Studio.
There's a lot of stuff going on in the news about maybe Paramount getting bought and all this kind of stuff. Well, he makes a joke about, well, now let's address the elephant in the room. You heard there's a lot going on with Paramount, with a possible merger or acquisition. And then he puts the picture of the Paramount executive up. Well, Billy's trying to doing a GoFundMe campaign to try to buy the studio himself. So they just made a joke about it, which was a good way to diffuse the tension. Anyway, okay. So let's get back to the movie stuff, shall we? What was next?
Wait, everyone in the chat just broke my heart and confirmed that Joseph and Lupita are not together.
Oh.
I've been trying to tell you.
Well, they should be together.
Okay, they should.
Let her go, Joshua.
They're very,
Jackson.
very cute couple.
All right. So I don't actually remember this note, but it says Sunday night first look, John Krasinski. Does anyone remember what that means?
Anne was the one taking notes.
What is that?
Before they started,
Sunday night first look, John Krasinski.
Before they started, did you at least get the part where they did a rundown of all the acquisitions and stuff and the reboots that they're going to do? One was Scary Movie.
Yeah.
Remember that?
That's
they
right.
did a rundown before they showed
doing
the
Scary Movie, which I think Paramount, I love you. That's a stupid idea to do more scary movies. That's dumb. They confirmed.
Yeah,
Naked Gun.
I got it here.
But here's the big one. They confirmed G.I. Joe and Transformers.
Not logo.
Not two different movies. A logo for G.I. Joe Transformers, the movie. I remember somebody in a super chat asked me a while ago if I thought they would do the G.I. Because again, at the end of Transformers Beast Wars, they kind of tease it. And so somebody on super chat, do you think they're actually going to do the G.I. Joe Transformers movie? And I said, nah, because it didn't do good at the box office. So I don't think they're going to do one. Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
So they are coming with that in, I think they said 2025 is going to be a live action G.I. Joe Transformers movie.
Yep.
Also coming in 2026, I think, an R-rated live action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie based on The Last Ronin. An R-rated live action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles story.
This goosebumps.
The Last Ronin. I could not believe. I was super excited to hear that. I couldn't believe they were going to do it. People are going to lose their minds when they find out about that. So that was pretty cool. What were some of the other things they announced?
The Naked Gun. They officially announced Naked Gun.
Yeah, which we already knew about, but Liam Neeson's in it and all that kind of stuff.
And then one more thing that was surprising before Scary Movie, but
Yeah, I have it all here.
Oh, a new Smile?
Oh my God.
A new Smile.
Now my notes are getting all messed up. Star Trek.
Star Trek.
Oh yeah, the Star Trek Origin movie coming out in 2025.
The Running Man.
Oh yeah, The
Edgar
Running Man.
Wright and Glenn Powell.
A new Running Man being directed by Edgar Wright, starring Glenn Powell. I mean, I think that sounds pretty awesome. I'm kind of excited about that. So that was pretty cool too.
Yep, you said no. There's something with Matt and Trey Parker of South Park.
Right, but they didn't say what it is.
Alongside Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah, Matt and Trey Parker and Kendrick Lamar, but they didn't tell us anything about it.
They got a lot of pop in the theater though.
Yeah.
Next summer, then we've got.
Let's get to the actual presentation.
Yeah, let's go.
What movies did they actually tell us about and show us about?
Okay, so going back, all done.
The first one, I think, was.
This is done. Mission Impossible, they just touched on. They touched upon TMNT and Paw Patrol movies.
Interesting note, when they did talk about Mission Impossible, there was no new title yet.
No title.
It was just the Mission Impossible logo.
Recently, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, they just changed the name to it recently to just Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. And so when they brought up the title screen, as like Ray was saying, for the new Mission Impossible, it just says Mission Impossible. So clearly it's not going to be called Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 2, which I always thought was a stupid idea to name it that in the first place.
The other ones, they called out Novocaine, Better Man, and a Bee Gees biopic.
Right, but let's get on to the actual stuff.
The footage that we saw.
Transformers 1.
All right. Transformers 1. First of all, they brought out the voices of Optimus Prime and Megatron. Chris Hemsworth and Brian Tyree Henry came out on stage. And what was really cool at first was Chris Hemsworth did this call out to Peter Cullen. And he talked about how Peter Cullen has been the voice of Optimus Prime for 40 years. And that he was worked with him to kind of figure out how they wanted this Optimus Prime to be. Now, this is a prequel. It is the story of the young Megatron when he was known as only, what, D17?
D17, 117, or something like that.
Yes, it was either D117 or D17. And Optimus was known as Orion Pax.
Yeah.
Such a cool name.
And, of course, Scarlett Johansson came on screen and did a message. She's doing the voice of Alita. Of Alita. And Keegan-Michael Key as the voice of Bumblebee.
Who had a name also, original name.
All right. Here's the thing. I have not... When they announced this movie last year... Oh, wait, he tried to give himself... Badassatron. When they first announced Transformers 1, the animated movie last year, I will admit, I thought this was a mistake. I thought, you're trying to get the live action up and going. I have a deep-seated anger against the old 80s Transformers movie because it was nothing but a shameless manipulation by Hasbro to get kids to throw away their Transformers and buy all the new Transformers by killing off all the great original Transformers in the first 5 minutes of the movie. Anyway, so Transformers 1 is coming, and they're going to show it to us. Let me tell you this. It was nothing like what I thought it was going to be.
Me too.
I mean, Chris Hemsworth said before they rolled the footage that we really wanted to focus on the characters of these Transformers and who they are as individual beings as well, right? And he said, so we take it back to when Megatron and Optimus were not Optimus and Megatron, and they were brothers. They were best of friends. And we're like, okay. And I'll tell you what, the tone of this trailer, it was comedic but not silly. It was lighthearted, but it gave you a sense of a grander scale. Because they showed us, what, like 10 minutes of it?
Yeah, quite a bit.
They showed us like a full 10-minute sequence of it. And I gotta say, as somebody who poo-pooed on this when they announced it, I thought it looked really good. And they have won me over. I've done a complete 180. I've gone from thinking this movie isn't such a great idea to now I'm really excited about seeing it in theaters. I thought it visually, it looked great. It's all on Cybertron. It's all about these characters. I think before there even were Autobots and Decepticons. And they touch on the main MacGuffin of the movie is going to be the matrix of leadership. So it's almost like an Indiana Jones adventure because Optimus, or Ryan Pax, gets this secret message that the matrix of leadership actually exists, and he finds a secret map to where it's located. And they go on this quest to find the matrix. And I'll tell you what, I laughed and I was intrigued and I was visually kind of in awe of it. And thumbs up for me. What do you think about the Transformers 1 stuff?
I think this is not what I expected. I mean, it's a little off, like from what we usually see Optimus Prime and Megatron. Their looks are completely different. I could say that. You know, it's going to run into the mutant mayhem problem, where there's going to be some people just based on its looks are not going to see the film. It's just the way it is. Like, there's a lot of people who like the different origin stories of the Ninja Turtles. It's going to be the same way with this movie, I think. I'm on board. I liked what I saw. I'm always open to a new interpretation of things. So I'm gonna give it a shot, but I don't blame anyone who looks at it and goes, this is not my Transformers.
I do. Sack up. Listen, nobody is a bigger fan of the OG Transformers than I am. I'm the guy who would buy all the Transformers, cut the boxes of the images up, put their images with their power bars up on my bedroom walls. I get it. I love and worship the original Transformers. It's 2024 now. It's time for a new iteration, and you need to judge it on its own merits. So if you're going to be somebody who's just got to stick up your ass and look and say, well, that's not the same one I watched when I was 10. Okay, fuck off. Don't watch it then. I mean, just don't watch it then. If you're going to sit there, but like, don't discount it until you give it a shot. Like, if you just say, you know what, that's not for me. Fair enough. If you say, yeah, you know what, it's all cool that they're doing this, but it's just not for me. Fair enough. Nothing wrong with that. But don't be a sour bitch about it and start railing against it because it doesn't look like the way it did in the 80s. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I just thought it was unique that even with the way they aged, I don't know how they did this, but the way they aged them to be younger. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Visually looks really good. I was impressed by that. I like this idea of they're not yet, they haven't become themselves yet, so they can't even transform yet in the movie. And then we also saw that sequence. Yeah. But I don't want you to glance over because you just brought up something really important that I forgot. Oh, go ahead. At this stage in their life, Megatron and Optimus, they do not have the ability to transform. Yeah. I guess that's like a rite of passage or something. Right. They didn't go fully into it, but clearly that's a big thing to them in this movie.
We see both of their mouths.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bumblebee speaking. Megatron, you always see his mouth.
Oh, yeah, right.
But Optimus, I mean, it's... and Bumblebee having a personality and talking.
This is the only set of footage that we saw in Dolby Vision with the 3D glasses.
The 3D and everything else, yeah.
The
3D looked cool. I know John doesn't like it. 3D looked dope to me.
Yeah, it looked really good, and everything was... everything looked great. So, all right, so that's the next Paramount thing. Transformers 1. I've done a 180. From thinking this looked like I didn't think it was a good idea to now that I've seen some stuff, I'm on board. Yeah. All right, what's next up?
They did just call out. We didn't see any more footage of Smurfs that's coming out next year. They also called out a few other animated films, the SpongeBob movie that's coming up, and a new Aang, The Last Airbender.
Oh yeah, so the name of the new Avatar: The Last Airbender movie. The official name is Aang, The Last Airbender. And they talked about how that feature film is coming and they're working with the original creators of the original animated one.
3 movies.
Did they say 3 movies?
3 movies.
3 movies.
Oh yeah, 3 movies. So that's going to excite some people. Again, they didn't show us anything. They didn't really talk about it much. They just announced it. All right, what's next?
Re-release of Interstellar for its 10-year anniversary.
Yeah.
Then Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
All right. So they made a very big... Okay, we had heard rumors, and we always warned everybody these are just rumors, that Hayden Christensen might be doing the voice of Shadow. Nobody ever has officially said that is the case. So to this day, it remains a rumor. So we speculated that, well, maybe at CinemaCon, they'll bring Hayden Christensen out on stage and announce him as the voice of Shadow. Yeah. Didn't happen. They really spent most of the Sonic 3 attention and time talking about
Jim Carrey, baby.
Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
And they're really talking about the legend of Jim Carrey and what he is on set and all this kind of stuff. And then when they played footage, they played us this really great piece of Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik getting his groove back. Let's just say that, getting his groove back.
That's great.
Now, we do see some footage of Shadow when you see him coming out of that cryo chamber that was him at the end of the second one, and Dr. Robotnik going, "Welcome to Team Robotnik." And then you see some combat between...
Yeah, you see the face-off. A little bit of a face-off. You see the reaction to
between Shadow and Sonic.
And Knuckles said something like...
Yeah, this hedgehog looks far more formidable than the last hedgehog I fought.
And then Sonic's like,
I'm right here.
right here.
And it looked good, but I know someone was very disappointed that they didn't show more.
Yeah.
And it was really only a few glimpses of Shadow, and I know that's what Ray's been really excited to see.
But then when I think about it, I gotta put myself back on the ground. The movie's not coming out till November. How much could they really show? They're probably still working on it. I'm glad they showed what they did, but I'm very interested in knowing why, even if it was just a regular voice actor, why they just haven't announced the
Well, I think they know because 95% of people don't care.
Oh, okay.
I mean, like that's the reality. I mean, like I'm very interested to find out if it is indeed good Canadian kid Hayden Christensen doing the voice or not. I'm very curious, but let's be honest, 95% of the movie-going audience does not care who's doing the voice of Shadow. So
the end of the footage,
a few of us care.
So the end of the footage, Shadow's like balling himself up into the sky, and then it goes into the Sonic 3 logo. Because the Sonic 3 logo, it's both Sonic and Shadow. Their balls like running into each other and then creating the logo. So that's how it ended. I mean, it was a good for what they showed. It was good.
Basically a trailer. It's like a 3 or 4 minute trailer that mostly focused on Jim Carrey. So that's what they're really leaning into. All right, so that was Sonic 3.
And then moving from 3 to 2, Smile 2.
Listen. I didn't love the first Smile. I heard great things about it. A lot of people raved about it. A lot of you guys probably really loved it. And I thought it was okay. I thought it was all right. I didn't think it was anything super special. But it clearly made an impact. It was a very inexpensive film to make. And it made a decent amount of money. So the movie theaters love that. Mm-hmm. This one is a little bit different. It's focusing on a big celebrity, a big music star being played by Naomi Scott, who, of course, was one of the Power Rangers, and she was in that Charlie's Angels. And, of course, she was Jasmine in Aladdin. She was great in that. So she plays a big world-renowned pop star. And now the Smile curse is coming to her. And one of the creepiest scenes is this little girl comes up to her, and you see Naomi Scott going, "Hey, that's a great shirt. Do you want me to autograph it for you?" And then the camera goes to the little girl just stand there doing her, like her smile, and it's like clearly creeping Naomi Scott. You know, here's the thing. I didn't love the first one. I don't expect I'll love the second one, but I like that they're changing gears a bit, and I'm certainly going to give it a shot. What did you think about it?
Yeah, it was still very creepy. I hope that it is a lot different than the first one, because like you, I didn't love it. I thought it was good. But we'll see. I just hope that the scares are different than the first movie.
Quick note, another entertaining part of the Paramount presentation was they introduced the 3 like 3 big cinema owners.
Oh yeah.
And one of them was Adam Aaron, but yet they had a smile girl right behind him. I just thought that was funny. You know, I love the way Paramount interacts with the theater.
Yeah.
No matter who it is, it feels like they just want to make us smile, no matter what, even if they had
they put on a good show. Yeah. They always do. All right, what was next?
Well, the last movie, Gladiator 2.
Then they moved into Gladiator 2. And I'm not blown away. I thought it was okay. I think they set it up well there's some really, really good shots in it. And it was just like, how long was it? Like a 4 or 5 minute thing they showed us?
Yeah, it was pretty long.
But it was really more like a 4 or 5 minute trailer. Like it wasn't a scene, it wasn't a sequence. It was like a quick rapid cut trailer, but it was like 5 minutes long. It's very cool seeing Denzel in it. It's very cool seeing Pedro Pascal in it, Paul Mescal. They didn't show any Jaimon Hansu, which I thought was weird. They showed Connie Nielsen, who's of course from the original Gladiator. There's a lot of references to Maximus in it. But a lot of the stuff they showed us just felt like a retread of what they did in the first Gladiator.
Right.
With more CGI. Like, there's a bunch of gladiators in the arena and a bunch of Jurassic Park monkeys. Go like clearly very CGI monkeys. Now, they did warn us that some of the shots weren't done yet and it wasn't going to look quite right. And it doesn't look quite right. And it's probably going to look much better once the movie comes out. But it just seemed to rely, because there was some CGI in the first Gladiator, like with the lions and stuff like that. Absolutely there was. But this seems like they're going a little bit further with it. You know what I mean? Right. It just seems like they're going further with it. And
from I actually like the footage. It seems like there is a lot of retreading, but there's an aspect of it which I don't know if this was what it really was. Pedro Pascal's character, it felt like he's the general that's doing the Commodus's like dirty work, right?
Right. Yeah.
But in the footage we saw, it feels like he like sees what he's doing and he turns his back on him, right? And that's why they're fighting.
But he's still pitted against Paul Mescal.
Right.
But then I was a little bit confused. Is Joseph Quinn Connie Nielsen's son from the first movie, or is Paul Mescal like Connie Nielsen's son from the first movie?
There's a lot of confusing things about it.
Yeah, let's put it this way. I'm sure the movie is going to be better than the footage they showed us, because it was not a well cut together piece they showed us. I don't think, because I've been very excited for this movie, and this presentation they showed us didn't get me any more hype for it. I'll just say that. I think, yeah, they should get somebody else to cut together the next.
Yeah, let's wait for the first official trailer. This was just something I think they put together just for us to see
But anything with Denzel in it.
Anything with Denzel, Pedro. But I will say, overall, it was a very well put together presentation by Paramount. They covered a lot of ground very quickly. It was the shortest of all the presentations. It was only a 90-minute presentation. So it was the shortest one. But hey, listen, Paramount brings it every year. And they did, again this year, they did a really good job. Even though I didn't love everything I saw, they put on a great presentation. And a number of the films they talked about, really excited about seeing. Last Ronin's coming. G.I. Joe Transformers movie is coming. So a lot of pretty cool things they talked about.
Let's hope Paramount's still around next year.
Let's see if Paramount is even still a thing next year.
You got to keep that in mind.
All right. With that down, let's move on from the shortest presentation of CinemaCon to the longest presentation of CinemaCon. The Disney presentation. Last year, I talked about how, wow, Disney really shit the bed. They did not put on a great presentation last year. I was really disappointed with it. I thought easily they had the worst presentation of CinemaCon. This year, they clearly heard, they got the message, because they came out swinging. And they easily put on, they've gone from the worst presentation last year to the best presentation this year. And so the chairman of the picture group came out. I think it's Alan Bergman. Bergman, yeah. Who was Alan. Why am I freezing on the old
Alan Horn?
He was Alan Horn's kind of protege before. And so Alan Bergman comes out, and the first thing he says is, during this presentation today, we have 75 minutes of footage to show you. And we were like, what? Like 75 minutes of footage we're going to show you of the various projects we're going to do. So what was the first one they kicked off with?
Well, the first thing they showed was Deadpool and Wolverine doing a little bit at the beginning, telling us to silence our phones.
Yeah, so they show it, the screen goes dark, and it comes up, it looks like they're in a sewer, and then walking into camera, like they're walking away from the camera, so they're behind the camera to start, then they're walking away down the sewer tunnel, and it's Deadpool and Wolverine, and like you hear Deadpool going, so here's what I think they're going to do in Secret Wars. I think they're going to reveal, and then you hear a phone ringing, and Deadpool turns around, looks at the camera, and says, guys, you're in a theater, put your phones away, and then Hugh Jackman as Wolverine goes off on this F-bomb laden, like, shut off your fucking phone before I shove it up your fucking ass, you fucking dicks, and blah, 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 like all this kind of stuff, which is pretty funny, and then they walk off screen. So that's how they started the presentation, telling everybody at CinemaCon to turn off their phones.
Yeah. And then we go into 13 minutes of footage of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
They start off with Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. And they go, we're going to show you, they basically show us the first 13 minutes of the movie. It's awesome. It's so good. It looks so incredible. Anne was almost in tears.
I was.
My favorite.
Ray was in tears. It looks fantastic. Now, let me pump the brakes for a second. You guys will remember, a couple of CinemaCons ago, they showed us like the first 30 minutes of Lightyear.
Yeah.
And it blew us away. And I thought, this movie is going to be the fourth animated film in history to be nominated for Best Picture, because the first 30 minutes were great. And then we saw the full movie, and it wasn't great. So preface what I'm saying with, it was just the first 13 minutes, all right? It wasn't the whole film. Maybe the rest of the movie sucks. Won't know till we see it. But these 13 minutes they showed us, they introduced us to our new protagonist, Noah. Who we see in the trailers. And it all starts with him living his quiet village life and going out and they're hunting eggs. You'll see when you see the movie. First of all, if you thought the other the other Planet of the Apes movies looked great, they have upped it. It looks so breathtakingly beautiful. And I fell in love with the characters instantly. And it is so cinematic and it looks so good. I'll tell you what, man, I've always been looking forward to this movie. I've been excited about it, but after seeing these 13 minutes, it just kicked it into the next gear. What did you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you top. I love the last three movies. And I was like, how could they do a movie without Caesar? Because like that's one of my favorite characters of all time. But I think they've done it already in the footage that we've seen. Noah is going to be everybody's favorite character, I think. And they set it up so well. The motivation behind what he's going to do the rest of the movie. And it's beautiful. I'm blown away.
Is this spoiler free? Spoiler free?
This was promo footage they were showing us, so.
The story that they showed us in the footage is just, I was so mad that they ended, because the way they ended it is that his village gets ravaged, right? Like,
this is all the setup,
and he's the lone survivor, and he gets up on this horse. He has a hawk that was still alive that they've been taking care of.
I think that was his dad.
His dad's hawk.
Yeah.
And he goes into this dark tunnel. He looks at it. He gives himself a deep breath. He says he promises to get them back for what they did to his village.
Get his village. No, he's going to get his village, the people of his village back and bring them home.
And he goes into the dark tunnel, and that's it, right?
No, or he comes out the other side. Yeah.
He comes out the other end, and then he sees where he's about to go.
And then it cuts. That's where it cuts from, because you guys have seen them do this before, right? They show a big long scene, and then it kind of cuts to a trailer feel, right? Where like kind of now quick shots of the rest of the movie and stuff. Guys,
I don't know how they
it looks so good.
Able to capture those expressions on these characters. I'm just always blown away by the fact that they can capture human elements within the characters. And I know they're all CGI and everything, but just, yeah.
It looks so good.
Amazing.
It looks good. And some people in the live chat are asking about the villain. They didn't show us any, because remember, this is just the first bunch of minutes of the movie. They didn't show us anything of the villain except for what we've seen in the trailers already. What a wonderful day! But clearly, it's a new, you see that trailer now from a different perspective after you see the first 13 minutes. Listen, just to say what we've been repeating again and again, this thing looks incredible. And I was really, really psyched about it. Mm-hmm. All right, that was Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. What was next up?
We saw a trailer for Young Woman and the Sea, starring Daisy Ridley.
A new Daisy Ridley period piece about the true story of the first woman to swim the 21-mile English Channel. If you're like me, you're falling asleep just hearing the description of the movie.
No.
It looks really good.
Mm-hmm. I actually want to see this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, it was just a trailer. Excellent trailer. Because it had me going from who cares to, oh, okay. Yeah, this looks pretty decent. So, so it was a good little trailer. It's coming out. When did they say it was coming out?
May 31st.
May 31st.
But it says it's going to be in limited release, so keep an eye open to see if it's playing in a theater near you.
There's just one horrific thought in this trailer.
Oh, and they are saying the trailer's now online.
Yeah, if you guys have seen it, one horrific thought. I hate the ocean. That's the last place I would. That's the last place I would want to die. I would rather burn it like in fire, whatever. It's just terrifying to me. That part of the trailer where they go, she has to swim through jellyfish.
Oh yeah.
And you just see above the water the color of all like this farm of jellyfish. What a horrifying thought. I would have jumped back in that boat and said, I'll do this another day.
I won't do it at all. I won't do it at all. I was like, this is jellyfish. She's going to have to swim through them. Fuck that. But yeah, so listen, it actually looked better than I thought it sounded. So we'll see if it's how good it is. All right, what's next?
35 minutes of Inside Out 2. 35 minutes.
I loved the first Inside Out. I got introduced to Inside Out at CinemaCon years ago when they played the first 10 minutes of Inside Out, and I fell in love with it then. The movie was every bit as awesome as the first 10 minutes they played at CinemaCon all those years ago. And now we got Inside Out 2, or Inside Out.
And Amy Poehler came out.
Yeah, Amy Poehler came out on stage to talk about it. And they showed us, then the guy said, we're going to show you Amy Poehler said, we're going to show you the first 35 minutes of Inside Out 2. So they start to play it. And I was telling Ann as we came out, the first 5 minutes, I thought, oh no. It's just, it felt like they didn't have an idea for the movie. It's like, oh, let's just visit these emotions again. And look, guys, we're back. And I was like, this isn't all, it was cute, but I'm like, well, whatever. But after the first 5 minutes, it gets awesome. Like, so funny. So funny.
It's so
and it
funny.
Recaptured and exceeded all that warm charm that the first Inside Out had, as Riley is now 13 years old, going through new things, getting ready to transition into high school. The new emotions show up. We already saw one of the trailer. Anxiety was one of them. And then they had boredom is one of them.
Envy.
And
embarrassment. It's so funny.
Embarrassment might steal the movie. Embarrassment just might steal the movie.
You look like a big nerd.
We get a glimpse of nostalgia, but then they put nostalgia back in the vault because they're like, you're too early. So
this nostalgia comes out. So, no, it's not time. You got to wait till her best friend's wedding. Then you can come out. You're too early.
I know that was
embarrassment. Oh my God.
We were not going to give a lot away, but at one point, the emotions are standing around, in the control room, and all of a sudden, this big alarm goes off, and they run into the control room. What's going on? And there's this big red light flashing and going off, and says puberty. And oh my God, it's so funny.
Saying our feelings are so basic. in the beginning, and then you throw puberty in the mix,
and then all these new complex
everything.
And whenever they switch to the other characters' emotions, I just love when they do that, because you see they
did that in the first movie too.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah. They do have the same emotions, but then they're all thinking in the way that character would, and then they dress them the same way as that character's.
Yeah, I know, that was funny.
But then they go into this like whole scenario of suppressed memories.
Yep.
And it makes it a very...
And how we deal with suppressed memories.
And how we build our own sense of self.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is another extension of the story that I didn't expect either.
The creativity behind Pixar and bringing what's going on inside our heads and our hearts into like a visual medium, I believe. It just blows my mind how creative a movie like this is, when it's talking about things that we should be learning in biology or science or whatever class. They're bringing it in such a way that's very entertaining. It's going to be a big hit. It's
look, the first, again, Lightyear's first 30 minutes look great too, but I mean, seriously guys, it was so fun. It was so funny. Like the whole auditorium was laughing very loudly. I mean, it looks fantastic, and I cannot wait to see the rest of it. It just looked great. So that was Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and that was Inside Out 2. Mm-hmm. And then what do we have after that?
Well, probably what everybody's here to start listening to, which is all the Marvel stuff. So they bring
Kevin Feige came out on stage. Yep. Kevin Feige came out on stage. And
he mentions that he asked Ryan Reynolds, or he had Deadpool design the next popcorn bucket.
Oh, yeah. So he said, Kevin Feige talked a lot that there's going to be a special Deadpool popcorn bucket. And he said, now, some movies might accidentally make their popcorn buckets really inappropriate. Obviously talking about the Dune popcorn bucket. But Deadpool designs his purposefully that way. He says, I can't wait for you guys to see the popcorn bucket.
We didn't see it, though.
They didn't show it. They said, we just can't wait for you guys to see the Deadpool popcorn bucket. And it's like, all right. So then Kevin started talking about some Marvel projects.
Yep. So first, Fantastic Four.
Yep. Now, they haven't started shooting yet. All they did was put the title up on screen. Obviously, the movie's not coming out before the next CinemaCon, so they weren't going to go much into it, right? Like, remember, they focus on movies at CinemaCon that are coming out in the next 12 months. But they did bring it up they put the title up on screen, say Fantastic Four is coming. They talked about the cast that we already know about. They didn't announce any other cast. And we'll hear more about it, and they're going to show us, I'm sure, a lot more at next CinemaCon.
This next one Anne's going to bring up off the list. I haven't asked you about it, but it was a little weird to me, a little confusing. I wanted to ask your thoughts on it. Go ahead, Anne.
So the next one, we saw a video from Florence Pugh, because she couldn't be here, but she's talking about Thunderbolts.
Right. Now, here's what's interesting about Thunderbolts. Ray, can you actually grab my phone for me? It's on the charger. And there's a reason I'm getting ready to grab my phone here, because Kevin Feige brought up the title.
Yep.
And I want to show you.
This was strange.
It was strange.
It was strange because...
But I want to show you what it was specifically. I did get it, and I'm going to try to let you guys see it on the camera if I can. Okay, so...
Look at that plain font.
Okay, but that's not the important thing. The font's not the important thing. The asterisks at the end. See, it says Thunderbolts with the asterisks. Kevin Feige says, oh yeah, the asterisks, that's part of the title. And you'll see why. So I'm like...
And if you guys can't see from the phone, it's a glittery gold.
Yeah.
It's a glittery gold, style on that font. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but if we remember, the Thunderbolts logo before they showed us this one was already like marveled out.
Make sure you're in the
was
picture.
Already marveled out. It had like that copper sort of reddish tone. So this caught me off guard. I don't know why it changed into something so plain looking. What the asterisk is for, I don't. I leaned over to Anne. I said, "Look at that asterisk. What does it look like?" I said, "It looks like a sun, right, Anne?" And I said, "Who has the power of 1,000,000 exploding suns?" Century.
I don't think the asterisk...
I know. Let me have it, man.
Say somebody else said the sun.
Yeah, this but he did say, I mean, it's just funny that
it's gold.
He pointed out specifically The asterisk is there for a reason. And so, and they didn't show us any footage. It was just Florence Pugh from set sending out a big hello message to everybody and stuff like that. And that was that. So that's all they did for Thunderbolts. All right, what's next?
Captain America, Brave New World.
So Kevin Feige brings Anthony Mackie out on stage, which was really cool. So he comes out, talks about like what it's, the responsibility now to be Captain America and all that kind of stuff. And then they showed us like 7 minutes.
Pretty long.
Yeah, like 7 minutes of like a scene. They showed us a scene from the movie. Well, actually a couple of scenes pieced together.
With Harrison Ford in it.
With Harrison Ford as the president, obviously taking over the role of Thunderbolt Ross. And he talks about how he had to shave the mustache.
Yeah, that's funny how they did that again.
Yeah.
Remember when Cheeto took over? They actually mentioned it like it would bother people.
Yeah, it's kind of like an acknowledgement that, yeah, we've done an actor change, right? But obviously they had to for this one with the tragic passing of John. So it's basically pretty simple. It's like Sam in a regular suit walking into the Oval Office, I think, to talk to the president. And, the president basically saying, hey, I know you and I have bumped heads, but you've been doing great work and we owe you a lot and blah, blah, blah. And then it cuts. Here's where it's interesting.
So he says, help me rebuild the
Avengers. He says, I want you to help me rebuild the Avengers. And he's like, rebuild the Avengers? And that's where that scene kind of ends. Then it cuts to another scene. Sorry. Some people in the live chat are reminding me. So every once in a while when I mean to say William Hurt, I think of John Hurt. And so that's why I said John, like, because I was thinking of John Hurt. John Hurt's a completely different actor. William Hurt, not John Hurt, William Hurt. Anyway, so they cut to the scene where the president, Harrison Ford, is addressing a security situation with a big group of people, right? And we don't know why, but Isaac, remember Isaac from Falcon and the Winter Soldier? He was the first guy to get the super serum. Remember him? So he's there, but as Harrison Ford is giving this presentation in front of all these people, you hear this signal going out, and all of a sudden Isaac goes, and then one or two other guys in the audience go like they've been activated or something. And then Isaac tries to kill the president, and Sam is trying to take down Isaac, and Isaac, who of course is a super soldier, just grabs Sam and like throws him across the room. And then it turns into a big chase scene of some sorts, and that was basically it. So we didn't see the leader, we didn't see any of that kind of stuff, but it was pretty interesting.
No, you forget that one last part, the one last line. Harrison Ford is looking up at Sam, and he's like, "You're not Steve Rogers."
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And that could be the shot right there. That tells you that that they're gonna go heads up. Maybe there's gonna be some sort of conflict between them two. That was the main thing that I got from that trailer. Yeah.
So look, nothing spectacular in it, just very interesting. There's some very interesting stuff in it. Didn't blow me away like the footage from Planet of the Apes or the Inside Out 2, but it was still very interesting to get that first look for a movie we're not getting for like another almost year.
And they did mention that this is going to be more like the Winter Soldier movie.
Oh yeah, Kevin Feige
went into that. Yeah,
that's a good point. Kevin Feige specifically talked about how there's no time travel in this. There's no aliens. This is kind of for a Marvel film, it's a more grounded film like Winter Soldier was, more of that political thriller kind of feel. And I think that got a lot of people excited, hearing that we're going to get back to that spirit of Winter Soldier. So it's going to be good to see how they do that.
And the release date is Valentine's Day of next year.
Yep, April 14th. So we've got just a little under a year to wait for Captain America, Brave New World. All right, what was next?
9 minutes of Deadpool and Wolverine.
Okay.
Releasing July 26th.
So, first of all, Kevin Feige comes out and he says, well, he's on stage and he starts talking. He brings up Deadpool and he says, look, we're getting into R-rated territory, so I can tell you, this movie is fucking great. It's so fucking great. It'll fucking blow your mind. Like Kevin Feige on stage dropping all these F-bombs, which I've never heard Kevin Feige say fuck before. I've stood around having drinks with Kevin Feige and I've never heard him drop F-bombs before. And he was dropping loads of F-bombs. And then they bring out Sean Levy, the director, and just so people know, no Ryan Reynolds nor Hugh Jackman were there. But Sean Levy comes out and talks about, the joy of making this movie. And they said our North Star in this is what's going to bring our audience joy. What's going to bring our audience joy? And he said that was mine and Ryan's and Hugh's North Stars. We were trying to make this movie and all this kind of stuff. And then they say, we're going to show you now 9. We're going to try to keep it spoiler free. So we're going to show you 9 spoilerish free minutes of Deadpool. And they do. The footage revolves around the footage we already saw in the trailer. Wade's having his birthday party, and then those guys knock on the door, and, so it kind of revolves around that, but it extends way more. And they show a whole bunch more. Now, with Deadpool now being at Marvel, there have been a lot of people, like I was initially concerned about it too, who have been concerned that Marvel was going to Disneyfy Deadpool. That they're not going to really let Ryan Reynolds do a lot of the stuff they did in the other Deadpool movies at Marvel. I mean, yeah, they'll make it rated R, but they're not really going to do. Guys, if the trailer didn't already put that at ease with you, seeing them talking about pegging and all this other kind of stuff, these 9 minutes will eliminate any concern you have. It's filthy. The 9 minutes they showed us, if you have any reservations that they're going to Disneyfy Deadpool, these 9 minutes will eradicate those concerns. I mean, he's even sitting down with there's this great line where he sits down with Blind Al, and they're exchanging some very, 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 very graphic insults at each other. And then they end their argument, and Blind Al goes, "Want to do cocaine?" And then it goes to Wade going, Al, that's the one thing Feige said we can't talk about, cocaine. She goes, "We can't talk about Molly? No, we can't talk about sugar or burger sugar? No." And they start naming all these names for cocaine and all this kind of stuff. And then, of course, we see in the trailer Deadpool slapping on his suit, and you see him slapping his ass. Well, in the extended footage, we see that it is not Deadpool slapping his own ass. It's the
tailor.
The tailor, because he goes in to this tailor who looks like a classic English tailor, and you see a lot of slapping the butt and grabbing his crotch to tighten up and all this kind of stuff. And Deadpool's like, "Your tailor's great, but he's a predator."
I never noticed the gold accents. Is that new to his uniform? There's some gold lining on that.
I didn't even notice.
Because I shot
to pay attention to being in the screen or not.
I shouted to Ann "Oh,
you're still not in screen."
I shouted to Ann, "Did you see the gold lining or whatever?" And Ann said, "I think
I did see it."
Yeah.
I didn't know if I kind of saw myself or not, but and then the piece de resistance of the scene to me. They show that scene in the trailer where he's standing with the guy from Succession, and the guy from Succession is like, "You can be a hero among heroes," and they're standing in that room, and he sees footage of Thor and footage of Captain America and all this kind of stuff, and he does the line, "I'm Marvel Jesus," but then he does the ultimate fourth wall break, because in that scene, after he says, "I'm Marvel Jesus," he turns to the guy from Succession, says, "Give me just a second." And he turns around, runs down the ramp to the camera, and then looks right in the camera and says, Wade goes right to the camera and goes, "Suck it, Fox. I'm going to fucking Disneyland. Fuck you." And then he runs back to the guy from Succession to continue the conversation. I just died. "Suck it, Fox. I'm going to fucking Disneyland. Fuck you." Then he runs. Oh, it was so funny. It was so funny.
Yeah.
Everything they show was completely funny. I gotta, every time I see anything new from this movie, it just makes it all real that this is actually happening. It's almost something that I think we all needed. Marvel needed this. I cannot wait to watch this full, because it was entertaining. The 15 minutes we saw, whatever.
9 minutes, yeah.
9 minutes, whatever. I was laughing all the way through. I can't. Who knows what's going to happen for the rest of the movie?
And this was all the stuff that was just supposed to be like no spoilers in it,
Yeah.
nothing revealed.
He made a big deal about how he had to go through it because the movie, he said, is full of spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, Cassina was asking a very good question. Is there any question about what's going on with Vanessa? Yeah, they're not together anymore.
They're definitely not together.
She is dating somebody else now. They have this conversation at the birthday party. Again, an extension of what we saw in the trailer. And he's just saying thanks to her for coming to his party. And they just start talking very casually, like, how have you been? And blah, blah. And he asks, are you dating anybody now? She goes, I just started dating this guy. He's nice. And she goes, I don't get shot at dating this guy.
There's one thing that shows up on one of the TVA cameras, if you guys remember. And they're like, oh, that's too much. That's the near future, but that's not.
Right. No, you can't see that because, he's looking at 3 monitors. There's Cap, there's Thor. But Deadpool looks over to the side and goes, what's going on in that monitor? And it's Thor on his knees crying over Wade laying on the ground with his Deadpool mask half ripped off and dying, and Thor's crying. And Deadpool's like, what's going on in that one? And they're like, oh, no, you're not supposed to see that one yet. And they just turn it off. But
didn't he say something like, that's not...
It's not going to happen yet.
Yeah, it's not going to happen yet, or something like that.
I don't know.
So that was interesting. And he's like, we're offering you the chance to enter the true, what do they call the timeline again?
I forgot.
What's the main, guys in the live shot, what's the main timeline called? The sacred timeline.
Yeah.
We're offering you a chance to jump timelines and enter the sacred timeline. And that's when Deadpool runs back and says, fuck off, Fox, I'm going to Disneyland, fuck you. And he's going to go enter the sacred timeline. So that's it. Now, a surprising lack of Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, at the end.
Except at the very end of the footage they showed us, they tacked on another scene from later in the movie of Deadpool and Wolverine just driving in a car together and bickering. And I won't say what the lines were exactly, but it was really funny.
Yeah.
Any worries? You guys know I've been super excited for this movie, obviously, but any deep down hidden concerns or worries I've had about this movie are gone. Granted, it's only 9 minutes they showed us. Who knows, the rest of it could be crap. Maybe it will be. But I no longer have any fears. I have no reservations. What they showed us was great. And it's Deadpool being turned up. You were worried about them toning him down. They've done the opposite. They have toned him up. And it's going to be glorious. I cannot wait.
I like how he turns to Wolverine and is like, why are you wearing the class? It was the classic suit.
What's with his Wolverine? What's with the suit?
Yeah, and he's like, did Fantastic Four make you wear? Or no, did the X-Men make you wear that?
Did the fucking X-Men make you wear that? Friends don't let friends dress like the Los Angeles Rams.
Yeah.
Or like the security guard for something like that.
It was just funny. It was so funny.
It was really, really good. I mean, I was a little disappointed. I thought we'd get like 20 minutes of Deadpool, but they decided they couldn't show us that much.
Yeah, so they would get out.
But the 9 minutes they showed us was great. Very, very excited about it. Oh. All right. What was next?
Okay, so we go from Marvel to then Alien Romulus.
Okay. I have done just another complete 180 on this. When they announced it through Alien Romulus, I thought, really, the Alien franchise is dead. Come on, let's move on. I just didn't think it was a good idea. I mean, obviously, I'll give it a chance for sure, but I just didn't think it was a good idea. Then the trailer dropped, and I thought, ooh, this looks very much like the original Alien. So that seems kind of cool. And I don't know how long the footage they showed us in this was. It seemed long. It wasn't like 20 minutes or anything, but it's probably like a good 10 minutes. And it was, again, not a trailer. It was a scene, like a 10-minute scene. And listen, I don't know how good the movie's going to be when we see the whole thing. But the 10 minutes they showed us were terrifying and intense. And it was like a perfect blend. Because you know how the first Alien and Aliens are two very different movies, right? The first Alien, very much a horror film. The second Alien, very much an action film. It really felt like they took the DNA of those first two movies and put them together. and they put together a very impressive looking 10 minutes that I'm fully on board with this Alien Romulus. I'm really not my most anticipated movie by any stretch, but I am now excited to see it. Because like there are a couple things that happened that had you guys gasping, like the whole audience going, ah!
I hate confined spaces. They're in confined spaces with these creatures. I've never seen any of the Alien movies, but this was freaky.
Yeah. So I'm saying, is the main character supposed to be Ripley's daughter? No, I think this is before Ripley.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
I think so. I think it's before Ripley. I don't know for sure, but whatever. It looked really good, and so I got to eat a little bit of crow on that. Because now I'm on board. I'm on board with it. So.
Half of me was disgusted. Half of me was like, tomorrow when we have that buffet, that's gonna be like crab legs all over my face. The crab legs are gonna be all over my face.
All right, the face huggers are prominent and have never been scarier. The face huggers have never been scarier.
Even the baby version of that thing is gross. Anyway.
All right.
They go into just really quick. I don't think they show footage of any of these, but from Searchlight, they have A Real Pain with Kieran Culkin and Jesse Eisenberg.
Which they didn't show anything
Night Bitch with Amy Adams. And then Kinds of Kindness.
They showed the trailer.
The New York Ghost. That they just played the trailer. That's already out. And
the trailer that tells me nothing at all. What a horrible
and by the way, listen, Disney best presentation this year, big improvement from the presentation they did last year. But what's with showing a trailer that's already been online for a couple of weeks? I didn't understand that, but it was just a waste of time. Yeah. Anyway.
All right. Then we get a trailer for The Amateur, starring
Rami Malek and Lawrence Fishburne. It is it's nothing we haven't seen before. A guy who's like a super smart, like tech guy, his wife gets killed in some kind of an attack in Europe when she's visiting Europe. And this government agency approaches him to help them use his skills to get them back. And he's like, I'll only help you if you train me and put me in the field because I want to be the one to kill everybody responsible for the death of my wife. And it looks great. And they just showed us a trailer, not like 8 minutes. It was like a 2-minute trailer. It looks like all the best of, just a good vengeance. Kind of like a Jack Ryan crossed with The Accountant.
There is an accountant.
Crossed with something else kind of thing. So again, nothing horribly original, but it looked really good. And Rami Malek, Oscar award-winning Rami Malek, I should say, in this looks crazy good. And so I was not even aware of this movie, and it's now on my radar, and it looks really good. It's called The Amateur. Keep your eyes out for it. They say it's coming out around Christmas, or
I didn't get a date.
Or was it early 2025?
Let's see if I have it.
Anyway, it's a ways off still. It's still a ways off, but keep your eyes open for it because it looks really good. It looks good.
Next, Mufasa, The Lion King.
So they had the director
Barry
Jenkins come out. Of course, Academy, whose film won Best Picture at the Academy Awards a few years ago.
Did it?
Moonlight.
Yeah.
Moonlight
over
La La Land.
Over La La Land. That was a little confusing. And so he came out and talked about his history with the story of The Lion King and what he was going for and how he wanted to put this thing together. Then they showed us some footage, and there's really no story in the footage they showed us, which I think was intentional. I mean, the movie is still a long ways off. Ooh, does it visually look good? I mean, it like if you thought what they did with the Lion King CGI remake looked photorealistic, they have upped their game. Because I can't believe we're not looking at real lions. And real trees and real water. It's all CGI. It's all animated. It is an animated film. And visually, it looks incredibly impressive.
Yeah.
Again, other than that, we didn't hear any of the characters talking. We didn't see, we didn't get any of the real story revealed to us. We just know it's about how Mufasa becomes Mufasa.
And it's great. It's going to make, after seeing this movie, it's going to make just watching The Lion King probably a lot harder.
Even maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
with the death of Mufasa.
A lot of our favorite or most memorable characters in Lion King is the guy who passed away, Mufasa.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we're getting to see a story about him. I think it's
and Scar.
Yeah.
It's about the two young brothers and how they become who they are, and it just adds to the kind of tragic nature of the events that happen in the original Lion King. So,
one of the shots in the very beginning is Mufasa hopscotching hippos in order to get to a. And I just thought, just visually, you could tell there's some music playing in that. They weren't playing the music that's supposed
very
to be
Simba-like.
Yeah. But, you could tell there's going to be some music that's going to go on with that hopping. I can't wait.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
It looks really good.
And Barry tells us, he tells two stories when he's about to introduce the teaser about how he used to work at an AMC theater, which I thought that was such a great story.
As an usher.
Which then inspired him to
go to film
school, which I thought was great. But then the other piece was just around the fact that he's seen the original Lion King about 200 times at least, so he's so familiar with
because he moved in with his sister when he was 15, and his sister had 2 kids, so he was often responsible for watching the kids. And he said back before YouTube and all that kind of stuff, the way you keep kids entertained, put in a movie. And he said every day for a couple of years, all they wanted to do was watch Lion King. So over and over again, he put in that VHS tape and they watched Lion King over and over and over and over again. So he goes, I've seen this movie like 200 times, like no lies. So
and one cute little thing, as we said before the Deadpool presentation, they kind of R-rated it up, the presentation. Even Barry Jenkins had to throw a F-bomb in there.
Yeah.
And then even in the last thing, they had to... Oh, did The Rock throw an F-bomb?
No,
he didn't. Okay.
He's the only one who
okay.
did.
Oh, sorry. I spoiled it.
Yeah, you spoiled it. That's
I spoiled it. Damn it.
Our last movie was Moana 2.
Now, they started off their presentation for Moana 2, basically showing highlight clips of media about how big of a smash hit the first Moana was. And remember, it's been how long? 8, 9 years?
I don't remember.
I can't remember how long. It's like 8 years, 9 years.
We had, I forget the actress's name. The one who voices Moana. We had her in your studio.
She came on the show with me, yeah.
It was pre-John Campea Show.
Back in the movie talk days.
It had to be years ago.
Yeah. But I think it was like 8 or 9 years ago. 2016. So 8. Thank you, Wrestling Hound. 2016. So 8 years ago. And last year, we talked about this on the John Campea Show. The #1 streamed movie in the world was Moana. 8 years after it came out, it was still the #1 streamed movie of all platforms last year. Wrap your head around that. I mean, that's crazy. So it's no wonder that they greenlit and went into production on a new Moana. So after they showed that montage of media clips talking about the success of the first Moana and then people's online reactions when they announced that they were doing a Moana 2, the lights go out and then the lights on stage start to come up and there's these Polynesian dancers with the drummers and doing these very
kind of haka hula.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff. And it was really cool. And then as they're doing that, you just see this dark figure coming out of the shadows wearing a big white tank top. And of course, it was Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who came out on stage. Let's see if I got a picture of the... If you smell out there. No, they didn't play The Rock's music or anything.
I just thought if they are going to talk about Moana and have these dancers out, they have to be bringing out Dwayne Johnson.
So Dwayne came out,
there he
is,
to
talk about it and to talk about what's going on with the movie and everything. So he comes out and talks about how much he loves being Maui and why the movie was just appealed so much to kids and families and all that kind of stuff. And then they showed us, what, about 5 or 6 minutes?
Yeah, pretty extended clip of it.
Yeah, it's something from near what you can tell is the beginning of the movie. It's Moana, now aged up a little bit, who has clearly been away from her home island for a while. And it's this big musical number. She's sailing across the sea and she sees her home now off in the distance. And it's this big musical number about how she's returning home. And then it cuts to the people on the island, her parents, about Moana coming back. Now Moana is a legend among her people because of the way she saved everyone in the first film. And they don't show much of Maui.
Not a lot. They just mention, oh, she's friends with a demigod.
And they mention Maui a few times. You only see him for a little bit in a little montage at the end. But again, I unabashedly love the first Moana. I still have a couple of pieces from the soundtrack may still come up on my playlist when I'm driving in my car. I still may get a little choked up when she sings There's a Line Where the Sky Meets the Sea and It Calls Me. I still might get a little bit choked up at that. I love the first Moana. So I'm very stoked to see the second one. And I thought the footage looked really good.
Yeah, I think they killed it with what they showed us. It looked beautiful. It's still very much on par with what you would expect from Moana. The song was catchy already.
Yeah, for a great new song.
I'm not surprised that I'm sure the rest of the music in the film is going to be very memorable, catchy, and you're going to have all of these little kids singing that song next time.
Somebody in the live chat's asking about Hey Hey. Oh, there's
Hey Hey's there.
Oh yeah, Hey Hey
there.
Hey Hey is featured a bunch in this footage and is as funny as ever.
It's still Hey Hey. You see the little coconut looking guys that attack them and a part of it. So a lot of callbacks to familiar characters that we saw in the first one.
So and that wrapped up the Disney presentation. And again, I mean, kudos to Disney. I gave them a lot of shit last year for putting in a half-assed effort on their presentation last year. It was the most disappointing presentation last year, and I gave them a lot of shit for it. But they came back. They got the message. They came out swinging hard this year. They went right for it. And again, 75 minutes of footage of different things, including the 35 minutes of Inside Out, 9 minutes of Deadpool, 13 minutes of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. The Moana stuff,
everything.
Bringing out The Rock, and it was just a really, really great presentation. Wrapping off, you know what? There wasn't really a weak presentation. It seems every year there's clearly one studio that does the best, and sometimes it's Warner Brothers, sometimes it's Paramount, and every year there's one studio that does the worst. Last year clearly was Disney, but there was really no bad presentation this year.
I will argue that point. I think the worst presentation was Sony because they weren't here.
Oh yeah, Sony wasn't here. So Sony crapped the bed by not being here. But every year one studio doesn't show up. So Sony wasn't here. They should have been here. But it was really, really good. So okay, anyway, guys. We are now going to take a minute as we hear from our sponsor of our show, but then we're going to come back, and I did have the super chats open. They are turned off because they filled up. But I'm going to go over and start taking the questions that you guys have sent in. We're going to talk a little bit more about the presentations we saw and everything. So we're going to say goodbye to Anne and Ray.
Yeah, because I got to light a match in the restroom for John because I just went to the restroom. Sorry. Bye. Bye.
Did we mention that Ray is sharing our hotel room with us?
Yeah. Bye.
Save some money, I thought. Ray can just stay in a room with us. I thought.
Bye.
Oh, a true story. So then we come back to the room, and Ray's like, oh, by the way, you're going to have to wear your shoes in the bathroom because I dropped my cologne bottle and broke glass over the floor.
I'm just glad you didn't say I accidentally pissed all over the floor.
Which was a possibility. which could have been a possibility. So, okay, we're going to hear from our sponsor, and then we will be right back. Guys, we want to thank a sponsor of today's video, BetterHelp. Guys, it's a brand new year, and a lot of people are making New Year's resolutions, things they want to change about themselves. But I've always believed that it's also equally as important to identify the things we're doing well and building on those. And therapy helps you find your strengths so you can ditch the extreme resolutions and make changes that really stick. I've always believed that nothing impacts our daily performance in our jobs, our hobbies, our relationships like our mental health. And I've also said for a long time that it's about time that we stop just putting emphasis on improving our physical health by getting out to the gym, but also by putting emphasis on improving our mental health as well. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. All you gotta do is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. So guys, celebrate the progress you've already made. Visit betterhelp.com/Campea today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Campea. So Ray went to use the bathroom and then left and kept the door open.
Yeah, we died.
So now I can taste it in my eyes.
No, it's not.
I can taste it in my eyes.
Come on. The taste of roses.
Roses?
And dandelions.
Ah, good times. Good times. All right, guys.
Get me a room next time. That's your lesson, baby.
That lesson is get Ray his own room next time. Save some money, I thought. It'll be good, I thought. Okay, let's now go over and start taking your live questions here, shall we? We're going to get things started off with, who's our first one up? It's Mr. Hank Dunn. Writes, R-rated live-action Ninja Turtles, let's fucking go. Listen, I didn't actually think they would do it. But they're doing The Last Ronin. For those of you who weren't around earlier, Paramount announced they're doing a live-action, R-rated Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles story of The Last Ronin. If you guys know the story of it, it's going to be violent, it's going to be dark, and I'm really stoked that they're doing that. All right, next up, we got Dwayne Fernandez who writes, hey guys, heard they announced the live-action R-rated Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, The Last Ronin movie. That's so exciting. Yeah, listen, Paramount, again, did a banger job this year. And some of the announcements, again, that surprised me. And the G.I. Joe Transformers movie, live action, surprised me. I did not think they would do it. With the box office, let's say, disappointment that was Transformers Rise of the Beasts. But they decided to move ahead with it. They think they can do better. So I'm actually going to be really curious to see that. All right, next up, we got Demarius Love who writes. Sends in a $20 super chat. Thank you, Demarius, for supporting us on that level, man. He writes, here's to you guys for making my day, and also Paramount for an awesome lineup. Cannot wait to go back to the theaters. Listen, again, the last 40 minutes, we were really just talking about the Disney presentation. Paramount did a wonderful job. Like, really, they announced some pretty exciting projects. I love the fact that Ray calls Paramount the people's studio. And he's right. Like, of all the studios, I think Paramount, they're not necessarily always make the best movies, but they get moviegoers, I think, better than any of the other studios. And they want moviegoers to have the best experience. And they want theaters to start showing fewer trailers and to get their prices under control and all. They always do a good job, and I was really happy to see them do a good one again this year. All right, thanks a lot for that, Damaris. And again, thanks for supporting us on that level, man. Appreciate that. All right, next up, we got Sanchez Guy 002 who writes, hello, Ann Campea. Nice to see you with your crew. Of course, Ann just stepped out, but I will make sure hey, listen, Ann's a busy, big vice president of this giant international company, about to get her doctorate. She's very busy, can't join me for a lot of videos, but I love that she can come to CinemaCon with me and do these videos with me. All right, next up, Paul Dean writes, hey, John and crew, I know you probably aren't up to speed with X-Men 97. No, I haven't seen the new episode yet. If you're watching it, I am. But oh my, the ending to episode 5 was shocking. I can't feel you. Thanks for all you guys do. Again, I haven't seen the new episode yet. I loved the first 2 episodes. Did not love the 3rd episode, to be honest. But I'm hearing the new episodes is really good. So I'll check that out once I get home. All right, next up. Kevins sends in a $20 super chat. Thank you, Kevins, for supporting us on that level, man. Always being so generous. Writes in, hey, John. So excited to announce that I will be starting production on my short film very soon. Been pushing my workouts and perfecting my fighting styles. Do you enjoy the preparation part of your job? The preparation part of my job is the most time consuming. Like, you guys see us when the John Campea Show starts, the music plays, and we say greetings and salutations, everybody, right? And then for the next 2 hours, you see us doing that. The preparation that goes into the show takes significantly longer than the length of the show itself. I mean, there's a reason, like if you look at ESPN and you look at shows that they do, like say Get Up with Mike Greenberg or something like that, it's basically the John Campea Show, except they're talking about sports instead of talking about movies. There's a reason those shows have a crew of like 30 or 40 people, and it's their full-time job of 30 or 40 people to put on that hour and a half, 2 hour long daily show. We also put on a 2 hour daily show, but it's me and Jonathan and Ray. And then Rob sails in and sits down and does a guest spot, or Chris comes in and does the guest spot as well. But it's me and Jonathan and Ray that every day do all the things we need to do to get all the topics, get all the points, get all the research, start pulling graphics, figure out the flow of the show, and then put on a 2 hour show. And it's significantly more time consuming. So I do enjoy the preparation of the show, but I'm not going to lie. I much prefer doing the show than preparing for the show, but preparing for the show takes up a lot more time. All right. Thanks a lot for that, Kevins. Next up, Kevins also writes, also, my mom and I are watching movies almost every night. Nice. Do you have a great movie recommendation? Would appreciate it a lot. Okay. A random great movie recommendation. I got one that it should be a movie that you and your mom can really like. If you haven't seen it yet, Harrison Ford's The Fugitive. Great movie. Based on the old TV show, but so it should be of that era that your mom could really appreciate it, but I think anybody can love this movie. The Fugitive, can't go wrong with it. Go check it out. The Harrison Ford one. All right. Next up, Hayden Centaur writes, thank you all for the coverage this week, John. It's been our pleasure. It was a true blessing to be able to watch it all week. Well, thank you so much. It's been great for us to be able to do it. I love coming to CinemaCon every year. I love doing these videos every year. And I know it doesn't have the production value of the regular show in studio where I'm just literally sitting here on a couch in my hotel room, but it's we have a big blast doing it every year. So thank you for coming along for the ride with us, man. All right. Next up. That was Hayden. We've got a DGP Productions sending in a $20 super chat. Thank you, DGP, for supporting us on that level, man. And he writes, hey, John, did Disney talk Mufasa? They absolutely did. I'm curious what Shakespeare it will be based on if they continue that trend. The Lion King is based on Hamlet. Lion King 2 is a Romeo and Juliet. Lion King 1.5 is Rosencrantz. Again, they showed us like 5 minutes, but it was really of just pure footage. There wasn't any, there's a little bit of Rafiki dialogue, a little bit, but we didn't get to hear Mufasa talk. We didn't get to hear Scar talk. We didn't really get to hear any of the music other than the score that was playing over the various footage. They didn't give us any of the story. They just kind of showed us what it's going to look like. And it looks fantastic. The visuals of it are great. So I wish I could tell you more, but I get it. That movie is still pretty far away. Like, it's still like, what is it, 8 months away? April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, like 7-8 months away. So I understood that, but visually, it's looking really, really impressive, DG. It's looking really impressive. And thank you again, man, for supporting us on that level. It's really generous of you, man. All right. Cookie Aucklet writes, hey, John, big fan of the show. You're my go-to movie news guy. Oh, thank you so much. Now, to be clear, we're not really a movie news channel. We're more punditry. Like, we're more pundit. We talk about the news. And analyze, break down, and hopefully give background and context to the news. But we're not like Variety or stuff like that. We don't break news, but we love talking about the news. And we love that you come and get the news through us. So thank you so much for that, man. We appreciate that. All right. Next up, we got DZ Studios, who writes, hey, John, boyfriend and I had an amazing double feature today. We saw Godzilla X Kong a second time and ended with Civil War. Nice. Oh my God, total jaw dropper of a film. It's by far our favorite movie of the year. Yeah, I obviously am in Las Vegas. And obviously we've been very, very busy with CinemaCon stuff. And tonight there's the big ending of CinemaCon, big festivities. They have a big awards presentation followed by the big end of the convention party. So I'm not going to get to see. So I'm not going to get to see Civil War till I get home, which kind of is bummed. Like, I haven't seen the new X-Men episode. I haven't seen the new Shogun episode. I haven't got to see Civil War yet. That's all going to have to wait till I get home. But I'm hearing great things about it, like amazing things about it, and I cannot wait to see it. All right. Thanks, DZ. Appreciate it. I'm glad you had a good double feature. All right. Next up, Raymond Verada writes, "Hey, John, thank you for letting us know about the John Williams concerts at the Hollywood Bowl. I'll try to see one this July and make the trip to LA. Dude, it is so worth it. The John Williams, the maestro of the movies concert every year is one of mine and Ann's highlights of our year. It is an incredible experience, and he ain't going to be doing it much longer. I mean, the guy's getting to retirement age. He's in his 90s now. So get out and see him because it's, as a movie fan, it's just such a terrific event, Raymond. All right, next up. Joe Adonis T writes, "Hey, John, do you think Disney is holding out more announcements so they can do it on the D23 Expo? They have a whole night of Disney/Marvel/20th Century Studios on that Saturday at Honda." Well, remember, CinemaCon is not really, they do drop some announcements, but CinemaCon is not about announcements. This is not a fan event. It's an event for the movie theater owners. It's really an event where the studios show off and try to get the movie theater owners psyched about the movies that are coming to their theaters in the next 12 months. And so yes, every once in a while they drop an announcement, like the G.I. Joe Transformers movie that's coming. Yes. But that's really not what CinemaCon is. That's more Comic-Con. That's more D23. This is about showing us and talking about the movies we already know about that are coming in the next 12 months. And the announcement stuff is there. So yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of announcements that Disney didn't make because this is not the place for announcements. It's the place for showing us stuff that's actually ready to be seen. And that's the exciting part of it. All right. Thanks a lot for that, Joe. Next up, Master Ello there says, "Hi, John and everyone. Thanks for covering CinemaCon. Long live cinema. Which movie is going to have the next great popcorn bucket?" Well, apparently it's going to be Deadpool. Seriously, that kind of smart. Kevin Feige literally made a point to talk about how Deadpool has designed his own popcorn bucket. And if you thought the Dune popcorn bucket was inappropriate, wait till you see it. They didn't show us any sketches, but I can't wait to see what it's going to be, man. All right, next up. Daniel Vasquez writes, "Hey, John and crew, since I didn't see you guys after the Disney presentation, have a good rest of the year and see you all next year." Yeah, it's so great. One of the things I love about CinemaCon, or any event like this, is getting to meet so many, there's a lot of viewers of the John Campea Show at CinemaCon, which is really surprising. And Ray, Ann, and myself all had such a great time every day, just being stopped by people who either work in movie theaters or are connected to the movie industry, or even some fans who, like Daniel, who ventured out to CinemaCon this year and just got to meet so many people. And it's great because, every day we do the show, we're talking to cameras, right? We're talking to cameras. It's so great to get to meet dozens of you guys who actually are on the other side of it and get to come out. We get to put faces, and now we know the people we're talking, like Ray was saying, now I know who I'm talking to. It's really a great experience, so it's one of the great things. Thanks for that, Daniel. All right, next up. John Redcorn writes, "Any news about Mufasa?" Again, we discussed Mufasa. Looks really good. Release date's all set. Visual is looking good. We'll see what the story's about, though. All right, Jay Pinnix writes, "Ray, who's not here, you got to know Shadow the Hedgehog is my favorite fictional character of all time. I'm beyond hyped to see Shadow and Maria. What do you think, love?" I get the one thing, Ray was very upset they didn't show more Shadow. I mean, I think probably I was most excited to see Deadpool stuff. Ray came to Las Vegas most excited to see Shadow stuff. There wasn't a lot of Shadow. Not a lot of Shadow to be shown. I think that disappointed him. So he is also, like you, a big Shadow fan. All right, next up. Lore Howard sends in a $20 super chat. Thank you, Lore. Writes, Anne, who's not here, rate Lupita's outfit. That's why that's what we movie girls want to know. Look, I can't speak for Anne, so I will tell you what she said. When Lupita came on stage, she just said, "Oh my God, she looks so good." So, I mean, I'm not the right guy to give fashion breakdowns and fashion commentary. I mean, look at me. I'm a fucking schlub. Like nobody will ever come to me for fashion insight. Anne is a different story. But I can tell you that what Anne said is, oh my gosh, she looks so good. So that's what she kind of thought, Laura. And Laura, thank you so much for supporting us on that level. It's very generous of you. Appreciate you very much. All right, next up. We got Jimbo335 who writes, first chat and game day, saw Godzilla x Kong, dumb fun and loved it. Kong really said, if that kid ape swinging it around, seeing Civil War tonight. Yeah, listen, I've said it a million times, I'll say it again. I totally get why anybody doesn't like Godzilla x Kong. There's a lot of things they do badly in it. It's a dumb movie. But the things they do well are so well done that it makes it really fun. And I had a ball with Godzilla x Kong, and I know a lot of other people did. And I cannot wait to go see Civil War. Very excited about it. All right. Ron H. writes, why not extend your stay? UFC 300 this weekend. I hear fight weekends are exciting in Vegas. Yeah, fight weekends are exciting in Vegas. But here's the thing. Ann and I love Vegas. We come 7-8 times a year. But we come for weekends. Vegas is great in small doses. We got here on Sunday. So we've been here part of Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And we are going to stay until Saturday morning because we decided we're going to go see Jerry Seinfeld in concert, doing a comedy show. Tomorrow night. So we're staying one extra night. So we're going to leave Saturday, but we don't want to stay another day and not get home till Sunday. So yeah, we're extending our stay by one extra day so we can stay and see a Jerry Seinfeld show. Yeah, no, we've been here 5 days already. We're ready to go home. We want to go see our dogs. We're ready to get home and we'll probably watch UFC 300 just from home with some friends coming over and have some food. All right. Thanks for that, Ron. Next up, Anthony C. writes, any update on Avatar, The Last Airbender animated film? Again, yes. They announced, I think it was Paramount? Yeah, it was Paramount that announced. Now, all they did was announce a title. They didn't show anything. They didn't talk about any details. They just announced the title and showed us the title screen. And it's called Aang, The Last Airbender. That's going to be the name of it. And that was it. They just spent like 10 seconds on it, told us the name of it, showed it a title screen, so no other news other than that. But still, the title's pretty cool. All right, next up. Super Nintendo Chalmers writes, Monarch got renewed for a second season. It did? I didn't know that. I loved Monarch. I thought Monarch was great. I am very stoked to hear that it's getting a second season. That is great news. Thank you so much, Super Nintendo, for writing in to let me know that. Because I didn't know if it was going to get a second season. Because I don't think a lot of people watched it. But Monarch is so good. So I'm really, really excited to hear that it got a second season. That's awesome. All right. Next up, we got Patrick Hamilton, who writes, I wanted to ask yesterday, as I was curious, when they presented Twisters, did they talk about it? Did they talk about if it's a direct sequel or a reboot? They didn't. My impression, watching the footage we saw, and this is just my impression. Nobody from the studio said this. So I could be right, I could be wrong, okay? This is just my impression. My impression is that this is neither a sequel nor is it a reboot. it's really kind of a fresh take on Tornado Chaser. It's another Tornado Chaser movie with a similar title to Twister. So it's not a reboot and it's not a sequel. I mean, it's just a new movie about tornado chasers. So it's very, very much its own thing. Again, that's just the impression I got. I could be right. I could be wrong. All right. Good question though, Patrick. Next up, and our final question of the day comes to us from David Aaron, who writes, if I were in charge of CinemaCon, when the theater owners show up for screening, I'd make them watch 30 minutes of bad commercials. Comment of the day. I would make them, oh, I love this. This is my favorite comment of the year. If I were in charge of CinemaCon, when the theater owners show up for a screening, I'd make them watch 30 minutes of commercials before the movie actually started. I wouldn't be in charge for long. Dude, you are preaching. I'm going to steal that idea and I'm going to say that on my show. I'm going to repeat what you just said on Monday. If I were in charge of CinemaCon, before every presentation, I would make the theater owners sit through 30 fucking minutes of commercials. It's like, hey, theater owners, the Disney presentation starts at 3 p.m. Be here at 3 p.m. And then at 3 p.m., start showing commercials for 30 minutes. Then start the thing. And then if they complain, say, oh, I'm sorry. Are we infringing upon your time by telling you that the show time was at 3, but we don't actually start the show until 3:30? Oh, that must be horrible. That's exactly what I would do. That is the greatest comment of all time. Thank you. Sorry, that's a pet peeve of mine. You guys know that very much. All right, guys. And that'll do it for this year's CinemaCon coverage. Now, I am still going to be in Las Vegas tomorrow. So tomorrow I'm going to do an open mic. Obviously no CinemaCon coverage tomorrow because we're here, but I'll take a ton more questions about CinemaCon and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to do an open mic tomorrow. So if you've got a question from an open mic, go ahead and use our tip link that you can find down in the description below. It's at streamelements.com/John Campea/tip. And then you can send it in that way. Or you can just wait until we're live and use the super chat and we'll do it that way. Anyway, guys, that will do it for me. I now need to run because it's 7:07 and Ann and Ray and I have 7:30 p.m. dinner reservations. So we have to go and meet up with, by the way, it's been really good to hook up with Taylor here too. Taylor's been hanging out with us. You guys, of course, if you watch the show, you know Taylor. So it's been good to have him here. I think we're having dinner with him and David tonight. So I'm going to run, guys. Thanks so much for being here. That was a great CinemaCon 2024. Hopefully I'll be able to have a bigger crew here with me next year. Next year might be my final year going to CinemaCon as I get ready to retire in the next year or so. But anyway, had a great time this year. Cannot wait. I will see you guys again tomorrow for an open mic. And then, of course, the regular John Campea Show returns on Monday. So thank you to everybody for joining me. My name's John Campea. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.